Hello, I'm Jacob, and you are watching the Prepper's Bunker Outdoors. Today, I'm here to talk to you about a tool that to me is very important. And that is the Esee Junglas, or as I've called it in past videos, the Junglas. Now, this is my third time filming this video. I've done it a few times, and I wasn't happy with my previous videos because I've been using this knife for about 3 years. I think that this knife is absolutely fantastic, and because I feel so highly about this knife, I feel it deserves a good review that's quick, organized, and to the point, and that's not exactly my strong suit. Now, this is not an initial review or anything like that. This is a long-term review. I'm not going to talk about stats or specs. If you want to see the initial review of this knife, you can look at the description little card above there. That'll go to my initial review, or you can just Google it. That's not what this review is about. This review is really about what makes this knife so important and so unique. And to clarify that, I need to tell you how I use this knife. I've been using this knife primarily as a harsh conditions, cold weather, or long-term adventure fire tool. Anything from feather sticks to batoning to chopping. The Esee Junglas is a large knife that has a well-designed handle that allows it to be used effectively as a machete, but has a balance that makes it feel more like a knife, a regular knife, so that you do feel very comfortable doing relatively fine tasks and small knife work, even though you have a large blade. Now, I also have to mention that I have used this knife's little brother, which is exactly the same, but with a 2-inch shorter blade, to absolute failure. I'll put a link to that here. So I have broken one of these knives, and really, when I broke this knife, that is what concreted Esee's quality in my head forever, and we will get back to that. But first, let's talk about who this knife is for. There's a lot of different knife people out there, and there's a lot of different knives out there. And so this knife is not for the guy who says, I don't need a large knife are stupid, I don't need a hatchet, anything that needs to be done in the woods can be done with a pocket knife. This kind of guy has probably had some pretty comfortable camping experiences. But, you know, this isn't going to be for him. This is going to be for the guy looking for a tool that could be used as a knife and potentially as a chopping tool or small hatchet. Through my use of this knife, I feel very confident chopping through small wood in a way that is calorie efficient, and I also would not be hesitant to use this knife to chop through a deer's pelvis when I'm gutting it out and skinning it out or anything like that. So it also might be for the person who wants to keep a tool that has many uses, is very practical to use, but doesn't take up a lot of space in their vehicle. There's a lot of things that this tool could be used for, but what has made this knife epic is its balance and its ability to be used as the legendary one tool option. Now, I haven't just used this knife alone. I've also used this knife back to back, head to head, against multiple other knives of very similar size, weight, and exactly similar purpose. And that is another thing that really has made this knife stand out to me. When comparing this to other knives, it was not always the best, not in every category. It wasn't always the most comfortable. It wasn't always the most efficient at chopping. It didn't always split open wood the best. However, it had likely the best balance of all of these things put together. And knives of much greater cost and better weight distribution for chopping and other things may have outperformed the Junglas in one category, but not by a large margin. And the Junglas performs so well in every other category that I feel like you have to come away from this knife realizing that the balance that Esee has achieved is something special. Now, to further elaborate my use of this knife, I would say to you that it's likely that I have lost more footage of me using this knife than most other YouTubers have spent time using the knife. I have more time of footage that has been lost than they have had time total of this knife being used. And abused, certainly abused. So why is this knife so important if you haven't already picked up on it? Even though it's a simple steel 1095, even though it's only 3/16 of an inch thick, which isn't super thick, the knife is almost indestructible. It seems unlikely to me that any human would break this knife without using mechanical leverage like I did, that maybe being a sledgehammer, splitting maul, or a giant rock thrown down onto this blade when it's stuck all the way into a stump. All right, this blade is so tough, and the quality control and consistency from Esee and their confidence in the quality of this blade is why they can offer the no questions asked lifetime guarantee. Does this guarantee get abused? Yes, there's no doubt. They receive warranty claims that are not the fault of the blade. There's no manufacturer defect. Do they have manufacturer defects? I haven't seen one, but I will tell you it's statistically impossible that there would never have been a manufacturer defect. It's just human nature. It's the way this world works. However, the quality control is so good that when you buy this blade, you know the quality that you are getting. Not only do you have this quality, you have the value of a blade of this size that's American made with an excellent Kydex sheath that is nearly unrivaled in the standard production knife category. I mean, the sheath is excellent on this knife. And of course, as I've mentioned so many times, you get the incredibly well-rounded performance of this knife. I have known so many knife people who hate big knives, and when they feel the Junglas for the first time, they're surprised that it doesn't feel like a super heavy chopper. It just really doesn't. And so much so that the Junglas 2, which is 2 inches shorter in the blade, but otherwise exactly the same, feels more like an Esee 6 Plus, or feels more like a large belt knife than it does a chopper. The weight distribution is just excellent. The blade performs beyond the sum of its parts, beyond what you would expect to see when you look at its spec sheet. And that's why so many survivalists and hardcore users use this knife. There's no gimmicks, no saw bullcrap, no bottle openers, no trash to sell a blade based on looks. And I personally know YouTube reviewers who have not used this knife very much and have given it a negative review because they say that it looks like a kitchen knife. Because it looks like a kitchen knife, they weren't interested enough in the blade to fully review its performance. Sadly, that's the kind of world that we live in today. Reviews are generated by an emotional response or by a manufacturer sliding somebody some dollar bills. That's actually what I'm here to fight against. However, that's the world that we live in. But you don't see any silly frills on this knife to get it sold, and that's very important to me. So at the end of the day, honestly, this is not my favorite Esee. My favorite Esee is probably my CR 2.5 or my JG3, because most of my favorite knives are the ones that I carry the most. When I carry and use the crap out of a blade, which is what the Esee is made for, by the way, what every Esee is made for, and it doesn't let me down and it performs how I believe that it should, that is when the blade truly becomes more important to me. Does that mean that I think that the Esee Junglas is perfect? No. There are a few things that I would like to see Esee change and update about this design. I do believe that this design is long in tooth. I do believe that ergonomics and balance have advanced since this knife since it was designed. I think that the market has evolved, and so there are a few changes that I would like to see them make. Now, Esee must understand the importance of a choil, because the Esee 3, 4, 6, and I think the 5, maybe, and the Laser Strike all have choils. In my opinion, a choil makes it easier to choke up on the blade like this and do some fine work and really have the knife locked in your hands. And to me, with a small knife, that's not very important. However, with a large knife it is. I still use the Junglas just like this, but I would like the security of having a little choil here so that I don't have to worry about this finger sliding up on the edge and ultimately me cutting myself. The other thing that I would like to see Esee do, many of the hard users of this knife strip this coating off, bare, and sharpen the spine to a 90-degree angle for striking a ferro rod. At this point in time, a ferro rod is synonymous with bushcraft and adventure and the exact market that this knife dominates in, and I would like to see them put on that 90-degree spine and potentially strip this coating. However, that's not to say that I don't like the coating. I don't think that the coating on Esees, as a general rule, are bad. They're not as rough and textured as some other manufacturers are. They don't cause as much friction, and once they've been used a good bit, they smooth down very nicely, and most importantly, they stop the blade from becoming corroded, right? It doesn't have to be stainless, it's got a coating on it. Also, this is kind of fruity, but coatings can come in colors. One of my grail knives is an Esee Junglas in their venom green with orange scales. I just absolutely love the look, and I love the practicality of knowing that I can't lose essentially what is one of my most important tools if I, like a fool, which I have done, put it down somewhere in the bush while I'm exhausted, tired, or it's at night. You lose your knife, especially a knife like this, you've lost so much. So, regardless, I believe it needs to have a way to strike a ferro rod. The Junglas, to me, is not my favorite Esee, but it is the knife that defines Esee to me. And that's the most important point of this video. When I think of Esee, I think of the Esee Junglas. I think of knives that are designed with no frills, designed to work, designed to meet a price point and get the highest level of fit, finish, and quality that is possible at a price point. And I'm telling you right now, when you strip this finish off of this knife, it's like a mid-tech or a semi-custom knife. The fit and finish, I believe, is amazing on these knives. And they don't put any crap on here to remind you of a Rambo knife to sell it. They sell these knives at a competitive price, especially considering the Kydex sheath and the warranty and the quality of the quality control and fit and finish. And it sells based on its capacity to do work. That's what Esee is about. Esee is a knife company that was born out of a survival school, and at the end of the day, that's what separates Esee from other production knife companies. So there you have it. Clearly I failed at making this video as short as I wanted, but I hope that you enjoyed it anyways. It was, believe it or not, more organized than my typical video. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, or more importantly, give it a thumbs down. That helps me with my YouTube analytics and algorithms or something like that. Subscribe, hit that notification bell. Tell me what you think about this video and about this knife in the comment section below. I love responding to comments. I almost respond to every single comment I ever get on this channel. And share it with your friends. Heck, if you really want to help out, check out the description box below. You can see how you can support this channel through my brand ambassadors, my personal website and products, as well as my Patreon. And you know what? If you go and you buy an Esee Junglas because of this video, let them know. Can't hurt, right? Again, thank you for watching. I hope that you have a blessed day, and I will talk to you in the comment section below.